Hello guys, Anmol here from Paris and Baz Real Estate. We're coming back to you live once again to bring on a new guest speaker on our weekly episodes, Paris and Baz Cast. Today we are joined by John Trani from Real Estate Institute of New South Wales to talk about a very important topic for investment properties, especially when a number of landlords haven't had a sufficient cover and they've been caught short. So we're going to be talking about landlord insurance and especially with the other changes that are coming up with the domestic violence legislation as well. So covering those topics. Hello, Luke. Welcome on board. So without further ado, let's get started.
Thank you, John, for joining us today.
Oh, my pleasure. Great to be here, and hello everybody out there on
we've got a few people coming on
online. Thank you for being here.
Instagram as well.
It's all happening.
Yeah.
So just a bit of introduction of yourself, John.
Yeah, sure. Well, my name is John. I work for the Real Estate Institute of New South Wales. I'm an accredited insurance advisor, and I've been involved with landlord insurance for over 10 years or so. Probably close to 15 now. At the Real Estate Institute, we've recently launched a new landlord insurance policy called Realty Protect. It was literally launched on the 15th of May. So thank you for having me. I love landlord insurance and happy to be here talking about
it in more detail.
So firstly, what does landlord insurance basically cover?
Okay, cool. Look, when it comes to landlord insurance, everyone needs to understand that it's one of those lines of insurance that isn't regulated. So pretty much you could have a landlord insurance from company A, company B, company C, and they will have vast differences. So the most important thing, if everyone could take away one thing, is you really need to read the policy wording for your landlord insurance. And whilst we've got a great price with our policy, never go off price because I don't know if you guys, you probably had experience yourselves. People go to make claims on their landlord insurance and realise that they're not covered when it's too late. The consumer buying habit, I think, when people want to buy insurance, is to get on the phone, you ring up a few insurers, go for the cheapest one, and then the little book comes in the post and nobody ever reads it. And you sort of cross your fingers when you go to make a claim.
That you'll be covered,
and unfortunately, this is really one of those areas where you need to really check.
And as they say, you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So we've got to make sure that it's not always about the cheapest. It is about the most comprehensive.
That's right. And there's some policies on the market that are a lot more expensive, and they also don't cover you. So it's really important to stay with a specialist insurer.
So there's a number of policies out there. What should the landlords be looking at?
Okay, I might answer that by just telling you a bit about landlord insurance. Basically, or I can talk about ours if that's okay.
Of course.
So in the one policy, it's only $360 a year if it was a strata apartment. Then if it's a building, then it depends on the sum insured. Like that, usually about $800 or $1,000 depending on the sum insured. But basically, there's 4 areas of cover in the one policy, and that's loss of rent, loss or damage to the contents. There's a limited building section for strata properties where all the things that the strata doesn't cover, we try to protect those, and then a legal liability section. So if you looked at the loss of rent section, a standard policy has got where the weekly rent is up to $1,500 a week, and then it just depends on how there's been loss of rent. So if the tenant stops paying, if you have to get the sheriff out there to evict them, or alternatively has something happened to the structure of the house where it's unlivable, like a broken water pipe or a fire. And in those situations with our policy, for example, you'd have 52 weeks loss of rent if the building was damaged. A key area for the loss of rent section is some policies on the market won't cover you if your tenant's not on a fixed term lease. So often a tenant will start a lease agreement. You'll have 6 months as a fixed term, and then it goes week to week. Some policies on the market won't cover you when you're on the continuation clause. So really important to check that. With ours, we will still cover you.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that is very important from a coverage point of view. And you brought a good point about damage. So if, for example, if there was a burst pipe or if there was some sort of a particular issue with the property that rendered it unlivable, tenant had to move. What happens between those times while you've got your other insurance fixing your actual physical property? You are being covered for the loss of rent there as well.
That's great. So if you took a strata unit, for example, a lot of people are under the impression that the strata covers everything. With the strata, as a landlord, you pretty much own from the paintwork inways. So our most popular claim is broken water pipes. So in that situation, the strata would fix the pipe and they repair the walls. But then it's up to the landlord to come up with the cost for painting and new carpet, and also if there's loss of rent as well. So the way our policy would respond to that is we pay for the paint, the carpets, and then if there was loss of rent, then we pay for that as well.
So even if the damage on the floor and the walls is caused by the burst pipe, it still would be the owner's responsibility. It wouldn't be, the strata wouldn't normally cover that? Wow.
No, they normally don't. They'll fix the pipe up and the wall, and then the landlord would be up for the painting and recarpeting costs. That's one of our most popular claims behind loss of rent.
Yeah, wow. And because it is so common, because obviously over the time, if a property does deteriorate and you have those kind of issues, then who do you go to? So absolutely.
That's right.
Okay.
So they could be like broken water pipes from upstairs or through the wall, or a blocked drain that's flooded the place, or something like that.
Any damage like that.
And there's also been recent changes in the legislation in regards to domestic violence.
Yes.
Yeah. So what exactly is the new legislation?
Okay.
And how does it cover?
Cool. With regards to domestic violence laws, they changed recently. So basically, if a tenant is a victim of domestic violence, they can't be held responsible for they're allowed to leave the rental property without any penalty for the loss of rent. And they can't be held responsible for the damages either. So that kind of causes a problem for the landlord. Whilst we want to help people that have suffered domestic violence and there's laws in place, as a landlord they could be out of pocket with regards to loss of rent and then the damages which they can't recover from the tenants. Our policy responds to that, where we'll cover the landlord's loss up to 20 weeks for loss of rent, and the damages up to $65,000.
Wow. So for a small amount of $360, and what would be the excess? Is there excess?
Okay, that's another area where people need to check their policies. In our policy, for example, in the loss of rent section, there's no excess. So if, for example, you had a loss of rent claim, you'd use your bond up for cleaning and reletting costs, and then our policy would cover the loss of rent up to 20 weeks if it was tenant default, or 52 weeks if something happened to the house. Then the contents area. So if, for example, there are holes in the walls or stuff like that, the excess is $250, and it's capped at one excess. So some insurers on the market will deem every mark on the carpet as an event, and then you'd be up for a separate excess. So if, for example, that excess is $250 or $500, let's use $500 for example, and there's 10 events of accidental damage, you'd be up for $5,000 of excess. So sometimes not worth making a claim.
Exactly.
And then when you go to make that claim, depending on the fine print, they might give you the depreciated value rather than the replacement value. So so whilst you've got these $5,000 worth of excesses using that situation, then if they're giving you the depreciated value and the carpet's 7 years old, they're going to say it's not worth anything anyway, and you're going to walk away with nothing. So if you've got a proper policy in place, or a policy that does cover that, you'd be up for one excess. $3,000 you'd be up for one excess of $250. And we're giving you for old up to $65,000.
New for old, wow, up to $65,000.
That's right.
Wow.
For $360, and we've actually got, because we've just started this policy, you get 13 months of insurance for the cost of 12 in the first year. As the Real Estate Institute, we're a non-for-profit organisation. We're the industry body for real estate agents. So we're not for profit. Pretty much the premiums that we receive sort of go back into the industry to fund the numerous things that the Real Estate Institute does. And some of those things are like, for example, just things like regarding the stamp duty and why is it so expensive? We're lobbying against that. It's just probably done over.
Money going back.
What isn't covered?
Well, with regards to landlord insurance, all policies on the market. Well, when it comes to landlord insurance, it'd be like your car. Like if you've got a maintenance issue with your car, it goes rusty or it starts leaking on your driveway, your insurer isn't going to cover it. So the way that corresponds to landlord insurance, anything that's a maintenance issue isn't covered by landlord insurance or with our policy, or any policy that I've read actually. If you've got rising damp, that's usually where damp comes up from the ground. That's because there hasn't been sufficient damp courses put in, so that's regarded as a maintenance issue. Another common area is if you've got mold on the ceiling, and that's usually because people haven't opened the window. If it's come because of a broken roof tile or because of a storm or something, then storm is an insured event. So we'd pay for the repainting and all that sort of stuff. So that type of mold would be covered. Another maintenance issue that I see a lot from a property management perspective is the shower trays. Often after about 20 years, the waterproofing membrane breaks down, and it's a maintenance issue to get that fixed. So insurance would normally pay for that. And then finally, with regards to housekeeping, so if, for example, your tenants stop paying the rent and they move out and they've left the place in a mess, and there's rubbish that needs to be removed, you'd use your bond up for that. So some companies on the market will keep the bond as an excess, and then you've got nothing left to clean up. With our policy, you use your bond up for cleaning and reletting costs, and then the policy, then the loss of
everything
rent
else
kicks in
would be
after that.
afterwards. So anything that is accidental damage to
Yes.
the property is covered, but if it is more of a maintenance issue which you've known about and
That's
you
right.
haven't done anything about, that's not covered.
That's right.
Plus loss of rent.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And in terms of, there was a question about drug labs. Obviously, God forbid anyone have to go through that, but it is a reality.
Yeah, we do see claims for drug labs.
Yeah.
Look, there's two situations. You could have somebody doing it's all illegal, but if somebody was producing drugs, you rented out your house and used it to make drugs, or meth or whatever it is. There's a situation where there's that type of activity, and our policy would cover the damages up to $65,000. But it would also, because it comes down as malicious damage, we pay the loss of rent whilst the repairs got done as well. Then there's the other situation where if somebody was just smoking meth in a place, contamination can get in the walls. And if that was the case, the policy would respond by covering up to $65,000 worth of cleaning for that as well. So you do get a lot of coverage for $360. And as I said, you get 13 months of insurance for the cost of 12. And we've also, because the real estate industry, we're all about putting people into houses. We've partnered with the Salvation Army, and a proportion of our sales, new business and renewal sale, goes towards people experiencing homelessness in our community as well.
Okay, so let's just recap on the excess payable. So first of all, so 360 is what you pay per year.
Yes, that's right.
It covers 20 weeks of.
It depends. So if there's rent default, and the tenants stop paying the rent, it's up to 20 weeks coverage. But then there's another area where if they sometimes, so what happens if your tenants stop paying the rent, you go to the tribunal and the member will say, hey, you need to be out by next Friday. Then if they don't move out, then that's called prevention of access. So failure to give vacant possession. And if that's the case, then the coverage is 28 weeks. So minimum of 20, which could extend to 28 weeks if there's failure to give vacant possession. And if something happens to the structure of the house, like a water damage claim or a fire or malicious damage, then it's 52 weeks.
52 weeks, okay.
Yes.
And in terms of excess, so did you say there was no excess payable for what circumstances?
So for the loss of rent section, there's no excess.
Loss of rent. Okay, so if you lose rent due to the tenant just leaving the property, that is covered without paying any excess. Wow.
Great.
There you
so,
go. So no excess.
Yeah, maybe if we illustrate a claim. So if, for example, somebody's moved out without paying the rent, and they're on a fixed term lease, and they moved down, they owed 4 weeks rent, and they've left the mess behind. You use your bond up for the cleaning costs and the rubbish removal. Then our policy would cover the loss of rent until you find a new tenant. And then usually most real estate agents will charge a letting fee. On top of the bond, we contribute $500 towards that letting fee as well.
Wow.
So it is really comprehensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Very comprehensive.
And it is one of those areas of insurance that every policy is different. So it's one of those ones
So in a nutshell, it's very important to have landlord insurance and the right cover.
That's right.
Exactly.
It is. It's all about having the right cover. So some people who, I meet people a lot who say, hey, so glad you came in today. We had a claim last week and realised that we weren't covered for anything. So, how's your policy different?
It's your biggest asset, and you want to be insured adequately.
And the worst thing is that you have no insurance whatsoever. Then you have to go for a claim, and then you realise all of these options, and you go, oh, I should have done that a lot earlier. There you go. That's pretty much everything we have. There you go. Any questions? I've got a few people watching. Hello to Ben, Vipinda, Luke, a few others on Instagram as well. So thank you very much for coming in. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thanks, guys. So we're at realtyprotect.com.au.
Yep, I'll put in those details in the
great.
comments
And,
as well.
Get all the
We can
information
get all
online.
that detail. So yes, if it is something that is of interest to you, we'll put down more information on the links section within the comments. So thank you so much for watching. Do tune in next week, as well as the next couple of weeks. We've got the plan scheduled for the rest of June, July, and pretty much August as well. It's becoming a popular segment with a number of people tuning in and requests from new guest speakers to come on board. So appreciate your time, and we'll see you guys next time.